Hello, testing the microphone. 1, 2. 1, 2. Is that better, guys? We're back in with sound. Hopefully, we've got some sound now. I can hear some sound picking up on my end, so I'm gonna hopefully assume that we're all good. Yeah. So apologies for that, guys. Just wanted to say, I'll repeat that for everyone who couldn't hear what I was saying now. So yeah, today I thought we'd do a continuation from what we were doing last week. We were working on finger picking and different arpeggios. So I thought we'd get in today. We're doing a finger picking pattern, learning our first basic finger picking pattern using basic chords, so basic open chord shapes. So when I talk about a finger picking pattern, if you imagine a pattern of any sort, what that means is it has some kind of repetition. So, for example, it could be blue, blue, red, blue, blue, red. So that have some form of repetition. Um, yeah, and it's exactly the same with finger picking patterns with your guitar. So, for example, if I do one, just a basic one here, just to give you a little example, if I'm going, you've got that repetition of sound. So I'm plucking the low to the high to the low to the higher, like that. And that's what we're going to get into today anyway, guys. But as we do with each week, it's really important to do this whenever we're going to start a session, is some warm-up techniques. And I always like to include new warm-up techniques or slightly adjusted ones, so it feels like we're always doing something slightly different as each weeks go by. But when it comes down to warm-up techniques, the real only purpose of these is to avoid giving yourself any sort of injury, prolonged injury through the use of playing your instrument. And it's just and it gives you better technique when you're playing and makes everything a little bit more fluid and a little bit more seamless. So yeah, without further ado, I thought we'll get into a little quick warm-up session. So I'm hoping you're all in tune. I'm going to play an E major chord just so we can all match an E major chord, and if we've got any problems we'll go from there. So there's my E major chord there. Yeah, so without further ado, I thought we'll start with, this is called a tonal stretching exercise. And the reason it's called a tonal stretching exercise is because we're going to be starting on our very first fret on the note F on the low E string. And it's called a tonal stretching exercise because we're going up in tones rather than semitones. So I'm going from F to G, and then from G to A, and then from A to finish up in on B with my pinky, like so. Yeah, so and what this does is just gets these tendons stretching in your hands and gets each finger working, gets the muscle flowing and the blood flowing to that muscle group. So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to start nice and slow on this one. We're going to start on our note F with our index finger. We're going to move up to our note G with our middle finger. We're going to play our note A on the 5th fret with our ring finger, and we're going to finish up here on the note B on the 7th fret with our pinky finger. And what we're going to do, once we've done that, we're going to repeat the whole process but going up the neck. Okay, so I'm going to start here on the note B flat. I'm going to go to the note C. I'm going to go to the note A on the 5th fret, and I'm going to finish it up on this note E here. Okay, and we're going to repeat this process, so do it with me. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And last one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you'll feel that strain in your hand. It's not the most natural of things to do, and this is another reason of why it's imperative that you do these kind of things, and they don't have to go on for too long. You know, if you just do go through a tonal stretching exercise is always important. A chromatic one is always a good one to do, and a nice little rhythm exercise, and then you should be good to go with your playing. So yeah, we'll move on from that, and we're going to do a nice hammer exercise really, because as weeks go on, next week I wanted to get into some different hammer-on techniques because it's going to serve us really well when we're doing finger picking. Okay, so we're going to start on the note G on the 3rd fret, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna pluck the string once, and then you're going to move up with your fingers. So you're going to move up chromatically, so playing every fret, but we're going to move up with the fingers as we do that thing. So we're going to go after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. We'll just do this for 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and moving up to your next finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to move up to our ring finger on the note A. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and last but not least, guys, stay with me on this one, the little pinky one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and relax. Yeah, have a rest. You'll really feel that. Even I feel that myself when I'm doing, especially these two fingers, because you won't necessarily use these all too much when it comes to doing these hammer-ons and these pull-offs. You'll traditionally find that your strongest fingers tend to be these two, and these will be the two that when you kind of come into these hammer-ons and pull-offs in whatever you're playing at the time, you will find that these will be your go-to fingers. Sometimes with this one that comes in handy, but not a lot of times you'll do your pinky, but it's really good practice to be as strong with them all and to be as confident with playing using all of your 4 fingers. Okay, yeah, so that now I wanted to do is we do a nice little rhythm exercise, and this is a really nice little one I've come up with, because what we're going to do is close chords. So we're looking at close chord shapes, so you don't really have to think too much about transitioning between the chords, because we're not going from, say, for example, a D major chord to a G. There's no real big jumps there, okay? We're going to start on an E major, and this chord progression goes E, A sus2, and A, which is an A suspended second chord, and then we're going to play B7. I know that A suspended second chord sounds overly dramatic and complicated, but believe me, it's really not. It's a really simple chord. And yeah, so we're going to start with an E major chord, okay? So we're going to take our first finger and put it on the note E. I'm going to set a second finger, put it on the second fret on the D, and we're going to finish up with our middle finger and put it on the second fret of the A string, like so, okay? And the brilliant thing about this chord progression, it goes E, A sus2, and then B7. So when I'm jumping to this second chord of A sus2, it's a very, very small jump. All I'm doing is I'm taking my first finger off and I'm jumping these two, just a little jump down there, okay? So it's got that. So we've got the jump from E major to the next chord, just do that little jump down. So let's have a little go with that. And then last but not least, we're going to keep this finger on. Okay, we're going to keep our ring finger on for this one. And we're going to need these two just to play it. So this one is going to proceed to go there. So it's going to be on our second fret on the low A string. And this first finger is going to just slot there on the first fret of the D string to play our chord B7. And here, if you notice, I'm muting that low E, because remember, the chord that you're playing, your bass note, is always the lowest note on the chord that you're playing, unless we are playing an inversion or something like that, which you will find more traditionally on a piano. Yeah, so back to that chord progression. So we've got E major, 2, 3, 4, and remember that little jump where your first finger comes off. 1, where your A now becomes your bass note. 2, 3, 4, and then a nice little jump. We're just taking our middle finger and putting it there back on that second fret of the A string, and putting our first finger on the first fret of the D string there. 3, 4, and then we're going to go back to the A to finish the chord progression. 2, 3, 4, and back to the E, 2, 3. So this chord progression is going to go E to A to B7 to A, and finishing on E. Okay, and what we're going to do is just going to try a nice little rhythm exercise where I'm going to keep it all down strums for now, just to get us moving these little chords and thinking. And then we're going to start doing some upstrokes, okay? So just stay with me and do as I do, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and change. 1, 2, 3, 4, and change. 1, 2, 3, 4, and change. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Down, down, up, down, and down, down, up, down, and down, down, up, down, and down. On the E chord, 2, 3, up, down, and down, down, up, down, and down, down, up, down, and down, down, up, down, and down. So yeah, that's a really nice little chord progression. It's not a song, but feel free to use those chords and turn it into a song, because that's what it's all about, guys. Yeah, so without further ado, I thought we'd get into the first part of this lesson. So as I was saying today, yeah, we're going to be looking at finger picking, different finger picking techniques. Also, as we do each week, we're going to add in a little bit of rock school grades. So today I wanted to look at a piece that you would traditionally play. So we've been looking at scales, we've been looking at A natural minor, we've been looking at C major, we've also been looking at E minor pentatonic, and I think that's it. And we've also been looking at A minor pentatonic. And if you're not familiar with those, you can go back to some old videos. But today I thought we'd look at a piece. So the piece we're going to be looking at today is a piece called Green Onions, which is a blues piece. And I'm just going to put in a link there for what we're going to be studying. So if everyone wants to have a little look at this, open up. So this is a rock school grade piece. So if I was to play the original, which I will do here, just give you a little, if that's going to work, give me a second. Right. Sorry about this, guys. We were playing. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. My volume was turned off. So yeah, as I said, this is an instrumental blues piece, and this is the original, which is in the key of F. We're going to be playing it in the key of E, which is as the piece on the rock school is. So it's just a nice grade one, nice and simple piece, but looking over a 12-bar blues phrase. Okay. So I'm going to pause that there, like that, and we're going to be looking at it in the key of E. Okay, so the original, if you're interested and you want to play along with it it would start on our low note F here, like so. Okay, so I'll go both ways. We'll look at the rock school way and we'll look at the original way, because it's a really fun song to jam along with if you want to have someone to play along with, if you're not fortunate enough to be at home with anyone else who plays any instruments. So yeah, the original, follows a 12-bar blues. So when I say 12-bar blues, it means it just does 3 chords in 3 chord shapes in music. So we're going to be looking at the riff, okay, which is starting on our low note F, like so. So we're going to be playing F, and it's following this minor pentatonic shape, okay? So we're going to be going F, F, G sharp, and then B flat, okay, like so. So it's going to be going, and then for the next shape, it's going to be exactly the same, but we're just going to move it all down 1 fret and play it here on our note B. flat, okay? So we're going to be starting it B, B, it's a C sharp, and then the note D sharp. Okay, so it's going din, 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 and back to our note F. And last but not least, we're going to slide our first finger up to the 4th fret here to our note C sharp, and we're going to go in C sharp. So it's going to be going C sharp, the E, and then F sharp, and then. So if I play the track, the original, we'll gain a better sense of what we're on about here. So this is a bit faster, what we're playing. So back to our F. Oh, it's on the note C, sorry. So the F, 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 and B flat, and F, and the note C. So yeah, when it goes down there, we're going to go slide up for these last ones. It's going to slide up to the note C, 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 E flat, and then F, and then back down to the B flat, C sharp, D sharp, and then back to the first bit, which is the F. So yeah, so that is the original. So if you want to play along to that, but I just wanted to switch it over to this rock school grade piece, which is in the key of E. Don't ask me why it's in a different key. I think it's because it's a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more manageable for a beginner guitar. Okay, so this one, if we go on this one here that I've got prepared, is in E. So this is a rock school grade piece. So if you have the piece up on your thing, you'll be able to see it. Okay, so we're getting at this. Okay, so in the key of E. So if we're practicing for our rock school grades, which I'm sure some of you may be thinking about doing it, or if you're not, it might be something you want to consider, and it might not be, but anyway, so this is in the key of E, so it's a little bit easier. So what we're going to do now is just going to play our low E, like so. So I'm not fretting anything. And then once I've done that, I'm going to slide it up to the note G, and then the note A. Okay, and the way I play this when I'm doing it is I'm going to use my index finger, and then I'm going to use my ring finger. So I'm going to go. So E, 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 G, A, E, 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 G, A, E, 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 G, A, E, 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 G, A. And then we're going to slide it up just like we did in the original. If you want to jam along with the original, this is going to just slide down to that A. So open A, and then we're going to go open A, C, D, A, C, G, D. And then we're going to go back to our note E. E, E, G, A, E, 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 G, A. And then to finish this off for the third and final chord, this is going to go to the B. So it's going to go B, 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 and then open D, and then high E. So we're going to go E, D, B, 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 D, E, and then back to our A, A, D, D, and then. Okay, so if I just play this track on now, and we'll get a little feel for it together. Hold on, where am I? Okay, so you'll hear a little counting with this one. 2, 3, 4. I'll make that change down. 3, 4, A. And back to the A. I'm gonna go B. So on the E now, A, E, G, A, E, E, G, and A. And last but not like so. Yeah, so that, guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a feel for what a rock school grade one piece might consist of. Um, there's loads of other pieces you're looking at. I was looking at, there's an Adele piece, Rolling in the Deep. There is there is a Beatles piece, Let It Be. So loads of different variations of songs. That is just one, and you would tend to choose something which you um, feel most comfortable playing, or something you enjoy playing the most, and that is kind of what would get you going, because you'd want to play it and you'd want to practice it. Yeah, so I just wanted to move on for that, 'cause I spent a little longer than I would like to do on that, but I just wanted to give you a thing, because if we were learning that piece in a rock school piece and you type in green onions, let's play along to that, and then it sounds out of key, you'd be wondering why. So I wanted to show you that the original on the record is in the key of F. So it's following that same minor pentatonic shape, and we're just moving that all down one semitone to play in line with that backing track for the rock school grade one piece. So we're moving that down to a semitone, so it'd be still following that minor pentatonic shape going on there. Okay, but yeah, without further ado, so I wanted to get into some finger picking techniques. So if you're playing with a pick, now would be a good time to put it down, because we're going to be using our fingers. So yeah, basic, really good finger picking techniques. We're only going to need 2 chords for this, okay? And it's to do with you going through these chords and practicing, because we're going to be concentrating more on what this hand is doing today. So as long as we've got this hand in position, so we're going to go to our chord C. So I'm going to put my first finger there on the note C, and then I'm going to put my second finger on the second fret of the D, and I'm going to finish up with my ring finger on the note C there. So it's going to sound a little something like that. So with this finger picking, basic finger picking pattern, it's going to rely heavily on my thumb. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be switching this thumb. So I want to start it off and just rest it on that low A there. So it's just rested there. And I'm just going to take my first finger and find our G string. So remember, it's the 4th string down. So if this being the 2nd, this is the 4th. Okay, and I'm just going to sit with these 2 first fingers. I'm going to pluck. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just play this. Get used to that 3, 4. So once you got that hand in position, that's fine. Forget about your left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're starting to feel yourself getting comfortable with it, maybe build up a little bit of speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go back down tempo now. Slow it down and build that tempo back up, and this is what gets you really comfortable with playing that 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and bring it back down. Just slow it right down. And once you're feeling like you've got this comfortable, and you should really spend, once you're starting this, before you've if you've not done it before, I'd spend a good 5 minutes just getting comfortable with this, sitting yourself on the couch, watch a bit of telly, and just practice, because that's the way you learn how to do finger picking style guitar, is when you're not necessarily thinking about it, and you're in a relaxed environment and you feel comfortable with your instrument. Okay, so now we're going to take this. If you've got this, and then this playing this to C to the G, so the 2nd to the 4th thing, we're going to take our thumb and we're going to put it up. So we're going to do this note there on the A, we're going to pluck the A string, and we're going to pluck that string, and then once we've done that, we're going to go, so we're going to play the D and then the G, so it's going to sound a little something like this. So I'm alternating the notes here. Okay, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and get comfortable with this again, guys. Start off slow, build up your tempo, and then slow right down again. And now, once we're getting comfortable with this, we're gonna add in this middle finger here. So just keep playing through that. making sure it's getting nice and comfortable and you're feeling okay with it. So once we're doing that, we're going to start to add in these added notes with our middle finger. So just to give you a little example before we get into it, it's going to go. So if I slow that down, I'm going to go the note, the A string to the G string to the G string, and then I'm going to play the B, top B there with my middle finger. So it's going to go like that. So I'm going to slow that down again for you guys. I'm going to try come in a little closer so you can see what this hand is doing. So this is a very unnatural position for me, but I'm going to play the note. So I'm going to start with my thumb there, and then the first finger on the note G, and then I'm going to play my thumb on the note D, and then the middle finger, this finger here, is going to play the top note B. Okay, so it's going to go like so, and just sit with this chord for a bit. If this is too fast of a tempo for you, slow it right down. Really look at what you're doing. I mean, a good sort of folk style position to hold your guitar in is with your guitar on your right knee and just with your arms really wrapped round. I've got quite a small guitar here, and so it's really wrapped round like that, going there. But you might find it be more comfortable if you've got an acoustic, especially to do it in a classical style way. So you might want to switch your knee and place your guitar on your left knee, and you might want to arch the guitar neck up a little bit like this, so you've got it more wrapped round like here, like so. So remember that again. I'll zoom in again one more time, because once people have got this, we're going to move on to the next stage. So it's going to go with our thumb on the note A, on the string A, sorry, and then first finger on the G note, and then thumb on the D string, and then middle finger on the B. So it's going to go. Once you got this comfortable, I want you to, when you're playing your B, every other time, I want you to instead replace that string B for the top E. So it'll sound a little something like this. So every other time, instead of playing the B string, like so with my middle finger, I'm replacing that, and I'm playing still with my middle finger. I'm playing the high E like so. So we're going. Okay, and once you've got comfortable with that, we can slip that chord. We're going to change it. It's going to be like we were doing the close chords in the warm up. This is very similar to a close chord because we're only changing one finger. So we're going to go from C to an A minor. So our first two fingers are going to remain the same, and our ring finger is going to slot under here on the note B for the second fret of the G string. So there, like so. So just to be precise, I'll show you. So we've got our A string to the D to the G, sorry, with our first finger, and then the D string with our thumb again, and then the B with our middle finger. And remember, and alternate it as well. And then we're going to change it to. And just practice going between these two chords, trying that finger. And if you're finding that finger picking pattern still a little bit just a little tiny bit out of your sort of like comfort zone and out of your skill set, perhaps just at this present time. Try to stick with it, but and if you can't, just simplify it a little bit more. So instead of when you're going alternating the B string and the high E string, just keep it all on that B string for now. So remember, then you just be playing your A to your G with your first finger, and then your D with your first finger, and then just your B with your middle finger. So I'm not putting in that alternating high E. And then try and switch the chords. So remember, if you got once you got comfortable with that, then you can start to think about what you're going to do down here with your left hand. Okay, so I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to take that and put that. Excuse me, sorry about that. Like so. And then what we can do now is you can start adding in what's called passing notes as well. So I'm going to take that A minor chord there. So I'm going to go A, B, and then back to our C. So if you want to do little things like that, real nice little tricks you can do, it's called passing notes, okay? So we're taking that A minor and we're getting an A minor with a B bass note and going back to our C. So there, if I was just doing that, so I'm taking the pattern of the A to the G with my second finger, and then the D with my thumb, and then the B with my ring finger. I'm going, and then going like this, so going I'm just using my first two fingers now for the passing notes, and then back to the original finger picking pattern. And the same process here. You go just playing the A string to the G string. So I'm switching my two fingers there. So I'm playing the ring finger, and then everything's in place to play that second chord there. And doing little things like we were practicing our hammer on in the warm-up exercises. Here I'm just doing the same finger picking pattern, so this hand's staying the same, but then I'm taking once I get comfortable with that hand and confident that I can do that finger picking pattern without straining myself, I can start to think about more and do more interesting stuff down here. So you've got the passing notes of doing things like that. We can also start to add in hammer on, so I'm going playing. And all I'm doing there is taking my middle finger and hammering on that, hammering on the D on the second fret. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going on 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do the same process with A minor. And here, when you're playing A, you've got your pinky free as well. So really have some fun with. You'll generally find that if you're playing an open chord like this C, you can experiment with your hammer-ons, which finger you want to do. So you'll generally find don't try and hammer on with your bass chord there. So with C, because that's holding down the chord that we're playing. But I can hammer on with that. I can hammer on with my first finger front, or you can hammer on with your second finger. So whatever chord you're on, you can usually find you can hammer on and it'll sound pretty nice. So I can, hammer on underneath like so. Yeah, so that's just my sort of like basic finger picking pattern that I wanted to get into today, guys, without going into too much context, because we've gone through a couple of things today. We've gone through a rock school grade and a piece you might find, and so have some fun with that and practice that and remember the difference. The rock school grade piece is in E major and the original is in F major. So the only difference is you're switching E to be your bass note, switching it up to be F, your bass note. Okay. So I just wanted to go through this next part of my lesson, which is I want to get into, which is like good tips, good things you can take away with you, because doing this lesson here with you all is real good to show you things, to enable you things, but it's within your sort of grasp to go away and just to do this in your own sort of space, in your own time, in your own environment, and really get to grips and slow it down yourself once you've got the tools to understand what you're doing slightly. So yeah, I'm going to get into some tips of the week. So as we've been going over finger picking, I thought it'd be good to go check out some finger picking songs, and I've chose these 3 songs because they're really nice songs and they're relatively simple. So I was just showing you a finger picking pattern there. So the first song I've got on the list is a song called Hey There Delilah by a band called the Plain White Tees. And if you're old like me, you'll remember it from your youth. Or if you're young, you might not have heard it, but it's a really nice song. And it's got a nice finger picking technique, which is just an alternating one. So I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So this is a more of a simpler one. So it's going like so. Yeah. The second song I had was a classic song, "Hallelujah" by Leonard Cohen. Or you might have heard. There's a really good cover version by an artist called Jeff Buckley, who does a really beautiful version of this song on his album called Grace. And this is a very similar one to what we were just doing in that finger picking pattern there, using the chords C to A minor. I was talking about the transition notes. So this is just using all 4 fingers. So it's not something we've touched upon quite yet, but if you feel free to have a look at it and go for it if you want to. So it's just going using that one with the hammer-ons as well. Like so. And the last song I had is a really lovely song called "I Can Tell That We Are Going to Be Friends" by a band called the White Stripes. And this is a very simple one, a 3 chord run. So out of these 3 songs that I've recommended, so if you want to go and have a listen, or if you might think of some chords that have got finger picking styles in them yourself, so you might want to just go away and do your own, but these are just my suggestions. But yeah, this song, "I Can Tell That We're Going to Be Friends," the White Stripes, it's a really nice one because it's just using 3 chords, chord G, and it's called C add 9. So which is just a fancy way of playing C. So I can play my C like so, or I can play it like this, C add 9. So I'm taking that G there. Sorry about that. I'm going to play it, I'm just going to take these 2 fingers and move them down there. And it's just got a final coordinate to D. Okay, so it's this and it's going like this. So it's alternating, so going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can tell that we are gonna be friends. And you can really start, once you start getting confident with that, you can start doing the alternating things, what I was doing with that thing. So I was just providing a sort of basic foundation of a finger picking pattern, and so you can take it away and take these songs and play them in a different style and make, because this one is that, but you might want to go so taking the bass note like that and doing the hammer-ons, like we said, and to the D like that. Yeah, so those are 3 kind of basic finger picking songs that I thought are good suggestions. But by all means, guys, explore, take your own exploration with this, and see what you find. So just moving on, I just wanted to say you should have fun with your practice when you're playing, and one of the ways that I learned how to be a musician and a guitarist is I learn through the means of playing songs. And if you've been to any of my lessons or tuned in to any of these lessons before, you will know that I'll always try and implement a song into a lesson. I know we haven't done today as such. I'll give a few little examples. Um, but yeah, go. There's a really great website you can use called ultimateguitar.com, and if you just type in any song you like, so say I wanted to learn, um, say I wanted to learn that "Hey There Delilah" song, I'd type in "Hey There Delilah" chords and Google search, and usually you'll find the first result you'll find will be ultimateguitar.com, and I recommend looking for the one that you'll see. It'll be rated by a star. So I recommend looking for the one that's got the highest star rating, which is usually the most accurate to the record. You'll find alternate different versions, which might be a bit more of a simplistic way because there might be songs that have bar chords, and if you're a beginner and you're still struggling with bar chords, there might be different ways to play these bar chords to make them a little bit more simple. Um, so yeah, just doing that, and then what's a couple more little points just before we finished. Um, Identify different aspects of your strengths and weaknesses. So if you think I'm good at chords, I'm good at these chords, I can play really well. I can play G, I can go to a C, I can go to a D really well. Think those are my strengths. You can kind of know that shapes like that. That's it, and know that a C chord is like that. And if you're playing a C chord, you're not a million miles away from playing an A minor chord. So try and change that, for example, and play a G to an A minor, and then maybe instead of a D, because it's not a million miles away from playing a D minor, you could try and change it to D. So that's how you that's so you identify your strengths as an artist and think what's similar to them, which you maybe not so good at or could do with improvement. So you take that thing and you'll change it and you just do it like that. And then last but not least, just I want to talk about strumming. And when we're strumming chords, there's these things that I've noticed myself do it and countless other musicians. So when you're playing, it's like they're called the in-between notes. So if I'm playing a chord progression of C to a G, and maybe let's call it a D. So if I'm playing these, I'm playing a chord progression down. So there, I'm changing it. I'm still strumming, but I'm not being real fast with my changing. It's getting that sort of sound, okay, which isn't necessarily a nice sound, and it sounds a little bit messy and untidy. So really, what I want to be aiming for, and this comes with time and patience, and you'll build your speed up just to get it really clean between chord transitions. Be careful not to get these blank notes in. Okay, so if instead of doing it like C, I'll be going. Getting the real clean transitions between these chords, so you're not getting any of these messy notes that you don't want to get in necessarily, because it makes your playing seem a little untidy, and by doing this, you'll become a lot better guitarist, a lot faster. And I think with that in mind, I think we will leave it there. So if anyone has any like comments or little bits of things you want me to just go over again, I'm all ears right now. Or if you've got any song suggestions, I'm always in the mood for song suggestions from everyone. Yeah, so I'll just leave it there. So if anyone's got anything, hey John, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, guys, don't forget to give us a like if you've tuned in for the lesson. Send a little comment. We'll appreciate all that things, and follow the page Cloth Cat, because by listening to all your guys' feedback and comments and things like that, we know where we're going right, and we know perhaps where we're going wrong, and because nobody's perfect. So drop us a like, drop us a comment, and if that's all, we'll leave it there, guys. I hope you have a brilliant rest of your week, I will be dropping a little video tomorrow where I'm going to be discussing all these. Sorry about this. Are we stuck still? It's my fitness worth. We're going to be discussing all these pedals. I'm going to be going through some sounds and having some fun showing you what they can do. But if that's everything, guys, I'll bid you adieu. And yeah, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you all next week. Bye for now.